Seasons 2021 and 21-22 were frankly terrible for Marc-Andre Ter Stegen. The keeper was criticized, he made mistakes, and something had to change. And then, next season, Marc was transformed, both mentally and physically. The German had a hair transplant, perhaps this gave him additional confidence, and then he entered the history of Barcelona with a record number of clean sheets. He is the hero of the championship season, during which the Catalans almost became the least conceding team of all time. And the goalkeeper's contribution to this cannot be overestimated. 84.7% saves, this is by far the best result of the German goalkeeper in his La Liga career. With this result, he became a #1 in the top 5 European leagues, and now Ter Stegen is definitely among the top goalkeepers of the last decade. Let's take a look at the peak seasons of other goalkeepers. We used our own point system to determine the best. We took into account key indicators, the average who scores rating, and individual awards. Points were awarded for everything and then summed up. And here's what came out of it. This is the top 10 best seasons of star goalkeepers in the 21st century. David De Gea kicks off our top 10 with his outstanding 17-18 season, where the Spanish goalkeeper was a true superhero and set a personal record for save percentage in the Premier League. He also had the best percentage of clean sheets that season and didn't make a single mistake, despite blunders being the main association that comes to mind for many fans when they hear his name. De Gea always let them lose, but not that season, not even once. I remember watching him play and thinking that he was simply the best goalkeeper in the world, a real brick wall. Team of the season and the Golden Glove for keeping 18 clean sheets in the Premier League, but even this list of achievements doesn't fully convey De Gea's impact on United's result that season. Their opponents had an expected goals model of 43 goals, but only scored 28. De Gea's outstanding saves earned his team 7.9 points. If we round up to 8 and subtract these points from the final result, United would have been 4th, not 2nd in the table. Let's briefly go over some of the significant events for De Gea in that season. He played his 100th clean sheet match for United and made 14 saves in the victory over Arsenal, equaling a Premier League record. Just take a look at what he did on the winter evening at the Emirates. Later that season, De Gea also played his 300th official match for United and marked his milestone with another clean sheet. He was signed by the club as a 21-year-old in 2011, and by the end of the decade had earned a reputation as the superhero in goal. Thanks in large part to his 17-18 season, he received the biggest goalkeeper contract in the world. It was so big that De Gea became the highest paid player in the richest league in the world, surpassing superstars like De Bruyne, Pogba, Ozil, Aguero, and others. It's a shame that he made more mistakes in the following seasons, and after the expiration of that huge contract, he became a liability for the club. Ninth place is shared by Edwin van der Sar and Julio Cesar. We have already talked about how the Dutch goalkeeper reached his peak when he was well over 30. And here's the prime season of 7-08, where he showed the best save percentage in the top 5 European leagues. Probably a career record, but we cannot say for sure as there is no data for his years at Ajax. In Manchester United's victorious Champions League campaign, Edwin was #1 in save percentage with a figure of 90.2. And then he also made the Euro 2008 team of the tournament. 3 months later, he turned 38. Does anyone else in football have their peak at such an age? As for Julio Cesar, his best season in terms of overall performance was not the treble-winning season with Inter, but the previous one, 08-09. The Brazilian was then named the best goalkeeper in Serie A. In the Ballon d'Or voting, he almost made it into the top 20. He showed his best save percentage of his career in Serie A. In the treble-winning season, the percentage would be worse as well as the absolute number of saves. At the beginning of the 08-09 season, Cesar brought Inter victory in the Italian Super Cup, saving a penalty from his Brazil teammate Juan in the shootout. Cesar was then the first-choice goalkeeper for the Brazilian national team. He has many international matches with clean sheets, and in the summer of 2009, he won the Confederations Cup, keeping 3 clean sheets. When listing achievements, we rarely mention individual South American awards, but now it's relevant. In the summer of 2009, Brazilian ESPN named Julio Cesar the player of the season regardless of position. And the goalkeeper also received an award as the best Brazilian footballer playing abroad. By the time of the treble-winning season, our hero had already become a star in Serie A and Brazilian football. Only 8th place for the legend who retired this summer, Gianluigi Buffon. He has a lot to choose from in his career. The man has played 28 seasons and most of them are at a very high level. Historically, Buffon's best year is considered to be 2006, when he had an amazing World Cup and almost won the Ballon d'Or, but we take into account the whole season, not just the World Cup. And in Serie A and the Champions League, Gigi wasn't very good then, a very mediocre save percentage. Therefore, Buffon's best season should be 11-12. It was the beginning of the second youth of the 34-year-old goalkeeper at the time, and then all the stats were on another level. When Juve returned after the relegation, Buffon experienced a decline which some experts hasten to associate with the onset of football old age. But in the 11-12 season, Buffon laughed at skeptics, making his best save percentage in the Italian Championship by the time and setting a personal record for clean sheets. The outstanding game of the goalkeeper helped Juventus return to the top. One of the iconic episodes of that Buffon season was the saved penalty from Totti at the Stadio Olimpico, and the fans recognized him as the player of the month. In March, Buffon kept his goal intact in the Derby d'Italia, after which the press began to write that Gigi is again the best goalkeeper in Italy and perhaps in the world. At the end of the championship season, Juventus had no defeats in the league. The defense built by Conte turned out to be almost the strongest in Europe, and the percentage of clean sheets for the touring goalkeeper was the best in the top 5 European leagues. Buffon himself called that season his second career high after winning the World Cup. From 2012, a new bright chapter began in the history of the Italian. Then Buffon was not yet established as the best in his position in the world. Casillas, who won 3 major national team tournaments in a row, was a worthy competitor, but Gigi played much longer in the end. He finished only now at the age of 45 and rightly called not just the best Italian, but the best goalkeeper in the world in the 21st century. Seventh place goes to Pepe Reina in the 05-06 season. Remember how people were puzzled by Benitez's choice to prefer the hero of the Champions League final, Dudek, over his young compatriot in goal. But Benitez was right. Reina, who joined Liverpool in the summer of 2005, showed fantastic form and deservedly received tons of playing time, even making his debut for the national team in a friendly. Of course, it was impossible to displace Casillas. In his first season in England, Reina set records. In December, he kept 6 consecutive clean sheets, which was the best result for Liverpool goalkeepers in the Premier League, surpassing David James' achievement in the 96-97 season. And in the end, the Spaniard extended the clean streak to 8 games. If we take all competitions into account, this streak lasted 11 matches, which is also a Liverpool record. No matter how good Dudek was, it was impossible to bench a goalkeeper with 11 consecutive clean sheets. However, I think Reina himself felt that there was a very strong goalkeeper behind him, and the competition helped him produce such fantastic football. In April, Pepe celebrated his first anniversary at his new club, 50 games for Liverpool. He marked it with a clean sheet against Blackburn. And another record was set, the fewest goals conceded in the first 50 games in Liverpool's goal, only 29, while the previous achievement from the 70s was 32 goals. At the end of the season, Reina received the Golden Glove award, the first of 3, as he would win the prize for 3 consecutive seasons. And with 20 clean sheets in the 05-06 Premier League season, he also became the best goalkeeper in the top 5 leagues in Europe. The last game of the 05-06 season for Liverpool was the Cup final. It was to determine whether it would be a mediocre football year for Benitez's team or a good one. They finished third in the league, were eliminated by Benfica in the round of 16 in the Champions League, and even failed to win the Club World Cup. Reina conceded 3 goals in the cup final, but he was not without fault. However, in the penalty shootout, he saved 3 out of 4 shots. He carried the team to victory, an excellent end to the best individual season in his career. Sixth place goes to Jan Oblak for his achievements in the 17-18 season. That year, he had a record save percentage for his entire time playing in Spain, and he won the Zamora Trophy for the third consecutive time as the goalkeeper who conceded the fewest goals in La Liga. Both in terms of save percentage and clean sheets, Jan was number one in the top leagues. He saved his club from conceding almost 11 goals in the league according to the XG model, which was also the best result among Europe's elite divisions that season. In January, Oblak played his 100th game in La Liga for Atletico, but his main achievement that year was in the UCL. They were far behind the champions in the league. The Slovenian goalkeeper played in the two European finals. First, as part of Benfica, he lost to Sevilla on penalties in 2014. That was the Europa League. And then, the main European trophy slipped away from Oblak in the battle against Real Madrid in 2016. And that too was decided in a penalty shootout. Very disappointing. To miss the third chance in his career would have been unbearable. And Oblak won a European trophy, conceding only 2 goals in the Europa League playoffs, where Atletico got from the group stage of the Champions League. Jan had the best save percentage and clean sheet percentage in that tournament. Oblak's stability was appreciated at the Ballon d'Or voting, where he was nominated for the second year in a row. Well, and at Atletico they finally realized that they had taken that top goalkeeper, and during the 17-18 season they gave him a contract extension with a salary increase of almost 7 times. Fifth place goes to Iker Casillas for his prime season of 7-08. It was difficult to choose which season of Casillas to include in our top list, just like with Buffon. 4 seasons stood out the most: 7-08, 9-10, 10-11 and 11-12. For several years, the Spaniard collected a rich harvest of individual awards. During that period, Casillas was unquestionably the best goalkeeper in the world, and we chose the season that marked the beginning of his peak, 07-08. That year, he had the best save percentage in the league if we take his golden years from 2007 to 2012. He won Zamora Trophy, conceding the fewest goals, and he also had the most saves among the Liga goalkeepers. For the second time in his career, Iker was included in the Champions League Team of the Year, even though Real Madrid was eliminated in the round of 16. In that season, Casillas became the goalkeeper with the most appearances for Real Madrid history, and he was only 27. Madrid renewed his contract until 2017 for 9 years at once, and with an automatic extension if he played 30 official matches in the last season. And they set a buyout clause of 113 million, a very decent amount for the 8th year. And most importantly, Spain won Euro 2008. Iker was included in the team of the tournament because he kept a clean sheet throughout the knockout stage, and he even saved 2 penalties in the quarterfinals against Italy. He only conceded 2 goals in the tournament, and for the first time in history, a goalkeeper lifted the European Cup as a captain. In the Ballon d'Or voting of 2008, Casillas almost made it into the top 3. He was nominated several times for the main individual award in football, which also sets him apart from other star goalkeepers of the 21st century, but he never rose as high as he did in 2008, neither before nor after. Fourth place goes to Petr Cech for his prime season of 6-07. It is a paradox because in that season, the goalkeeper's career and even his life were almost cut short due to a collision with an opponent in a game against Reading. He had fractured his skull and narrowly avoided brain damage. It was just luck. During the operation, doctors removed large bone fragments and secured the remaining bones with 2 metal plates. For a while, Petr suffered from severe headaches. He admitted that even watching TV was difficult for him. In the first training sessions after treatment, Cech got tired quickly, but he dreamed of returning to the field as soon as possible. And in January, just 3 months after the fracture, he played a Premier League match wearing a special helmet. And this is where abnormal events began. The player who had rushed his recovery suddenly began to show unreal sporting form. After getting a clean sheet in his first game, he went on a run of 810 minutes without conceding a goal in the Premier League. In April, he received the Premier League Player of the Month award for the first time in his career. Cech became the first goalkeeper to win his prize since 2000. His save percentage for that season was unreal, 91.3%. And this was definitely not because he played little or wasn't attacked enough. In absolute numbers, he made 95 saves, which is only 24 less than he made in the previous season when he played 34 games. No doubt, 19.3% of shots saved was the best result of the season in the top 5 leagues. In terms of percentage of clean sheets, Cech also had the best record in elite leagues. In the final of the FA Cup, Cech helped Chelsea win against Ferguson's Manchester United, keeping a clean sheet. UEFA named the Blues goalie the best club football goalkeeper. At the Ballon d'Or, Cech finished in 18th place. He will continue to play at the highest level for so many years to come, now never parting with his protective helmet, but he will never show such numbers as he did in the scariest season of 06-07. A weird, incredible story. Third place goes to Jens Lehmann for his prime season of 05 or 06. If we look at the overall save percentage across all tournaments, not just the league, he showed the best numbers among all the star goalkeepers of the 21st century, 90.8% of shots saved. But you know, I haven't even started to amaze you yet. The most amazing thing happened in the Champions League. Arsenal broke the tournament record for the number of consecutive clean sheets, 10. Lehmann played only once in the group stage, but in the playoffs he didn't miss a single game and didn't concede a single goal. Maybe you remember that in the final, the German was forced to commit a last-ditch foul. Thus, 2 goals from Barca were conceded by a reserve keeper. And Jens Lehmann in the Champions League season of 05-06 has, just listen to it, 8 games, 648 minutes on the field and 100% saves, although there were Madrid and Juve among opponents. Then, in the second leg of the semi-final with Villarreal, in the 89th minute, the German didn't allow Riquelme to score from penalty spot, and even Barca threatened in the first minutes of the final. Although Arsenal hadn't become the winner of the Champions League, Lehmann was recognized as the best goalkeeper of the tournament, and only thanks to such a phenomenal level, Jens at the age of 36 was able to become the main goalkeeper in the German national team at a major tournament. Moreover, at home, besides at the World Cup. Throughout his career, he fought with his peer Kahn, and this competition motivated him wildly. To win, he had to shoot for the moon because no one will say that Lehmann is the most talented in our top, but he simply showed unreal numbers. At the home World Cup, Lehmann played 3 games without conceding a goal, won the penalty shootout in the quarterfinals against Argentina, he saved 2 penalties and could have saved 3. He even received praise from his competitor Kahn and entered the top 10 of the 2006 Ballon d'Or. A fantastic year for a goalkeeper who was long refused to be considered a top player. And in second place is Oliver Kahn himself. He's the only goalkeeper in the 21st century to be in the top 3 of the Ballon d'Or voting for 2 consecutive years. These were the seasons of 2000-2001 and 2001-2002. They're all close in terms of stats, but Kahn's mistake in the World Cup final in Japan and Korea was a bit of a concern. It was the match of his life, and as an inexperienced young man, he couldn't hold onto the ball and allowed for a rebound. Without their attacking leader Ballack, Germany was doomed. That's why we chose the season of 2000-2001, because there were stats achievements as well, but mainly because in that season, Kahn became the main hero at the peak moment. Let's start from the beginning. In the summer, as a captain, Kahn led Bayern to victory in the non-defunct German League Cup, which was played before the start of the Bundesliga. There were no problems for Munich in the league, and Oliver had no competitors among goalkeepers. He was recognized as the best goalkeeper in the Bundesliga 6 years in a row, from 1997 to 2002. For 4 years in a row, Kahn was named the best club goalkeeper in Europe, and for 2 years, in 2000 and 2001, he was named the Footballer of the Year in Germany. But let's focus on the Champions League as the main tournament of his prime season. 16 games, more than half of them without conceding a goal. The mighty Real Madrid and Manchester United were only able to score against Kahn once in their 2-legged matches in the playoffs. And in the final, Valencia was only able to score from a penalty. But this only angered the German alpha keeper. In the penalty shootout, Kahn saved 3 shots and won his only Champions League trophy of his career. Bayern had to redeem themselves for the 99th final, and Kahn just had to demonstrate his goalkeeper dominance in the bright style, and that's exactly what happened. There was no one equal to him in the world at the time. And the first place goes to Manuel Neuer, who reached his peak in the year of the World Cup victory. Let's analyze his brilliant 13-14 season. Manuel showed his best save percentage for Bayern Munich in the league throughout the entire period in Munich up to the present day. He finished at the top in Germany for the number of clean sheets. The season started with a victory in the UEFA Super Cup and the revenge match against Chelsea for the Champions League final of 2012. The score was 2-2 in the regular time, and in the penalty shootout, Neuer showed the young Lukaku who the boss was. At the end of the calendar year, Manuel was recognized as the best in the world according to the FHS and was included in the UEFA Team of the Year. But this was just the warm-up before reaching the peak. The 13-14 season was about winning the league, winning the DFB Pokal, with Neuer conceding only one goal in the entire tournament and saving a penalty from Ozil in the round of 16 of the Champions League. It was about winning the FIFA Club World Cup, where Neuer kept clean sheets in both the semi-final and final. It was about extending his contract with Bayern Munich until 2019. At the end of 2014, Neuer was named the German Footballer of the Year, and for the second year in a row, the best goalkeeper in the world according to the Federation of History and Statistics. He was once again included in the UEFA Team of the Season, and he was not left out of the UEFA Team of the Year either, although he didn't reach the final of the Champions League. But Neuer's main performance came at the World Cup. It was revolutionary. No goalkeeper in the football history had ventured so far out of the goal to prevent threats. Manu ran up almost to the center line, cleaning up behind the defenders and allowing them to press the opponent in a high position. His reading of the game was on the level of a top central defender, and his footwork was just as good as the ones of midfield players. We had never seen anything like this from a goalkeeper at a World Cup. And in goal, Neuer was fantastic. He couldn't be beaten by the Portuguese, the French, or the Argentinians. That tournament was memorable for incredible performances from goalkeepers Ochoa, Navas, Bravo, and Silesen. Those guys were on fire, but Neuer was included in the World Cup Best 11, not just as a World Cup champion. Manu revolutionized football. It's no small thing. Since that season and his performances at the World Cup, top coaches began to expect different things from goalkeepers, and many sports schools started paying more attention to training goalkeepers' footwork. It's not surprising that Manuel was #1 in the world in the 13-14 season, and at the Ballon d'Or, his chances of winning were considered real. And that's why when you take everything into account, Manuel Neuer is on top of this list. As a short bonus, let's recall the prime season of Brazilian goalkeeper Dida. The best performance in Serie A in terms of save percentage and clean sheets simultaneously occurred during his time at AC Milan in the 06-07 season. Additionally, they avenged their loss to Liverpool in the Champions League final, with Dida making crucial saves against Pennant, Jarrett, and Crouch. Dida kept a clean sheet in more than half of the matches in the main European Cup. Pepe Reina had one more clean sheet, but the Brazilian keeper played one less game. When AC Milan fans reminisce about their second Championship League trophy won in the 21st century, Dida the Giant is always praised with warm words. He was truly exceptional. Wow, so many memories of great goalkeeper seasons. By the way, have you noticed that Casillas and Buffon aren't ranked as high in our list? Well, in a specific year, they may have been slightly behind some other top heroes, but thanks to their consistency, they became the best in the 21st century. After all, for goalkeepers, stability is almost the most important thing, and it's surprising to see 3 Germans in the top 3. It's the first time we've had something like this in our top rankings. Let us know which goalkeeper season personally stood out to you the most. But until then, know the ball.